These are some Claude Code and OpenAI Codex skills that I use every single day to build my startup. For a little bit of context about myself, I was a solo developer who's built over 14 different apps in the past 6 years or so. And right now, my current startup is called Yorby, the AI social media marketer. And I have a co-founder, but I'm still the sole developer and he's mostly on the marketing and growth side of things. And we were working on Yorby from October all the way through March. And during that period, I was pretty much the only person shipping code the entire time. But as of recently, we have not only hired an additional software engineering intern who's a college student to start contributing to the code base, but we've also been working on getting my non-technical co-founders to start building out features as well with all the proper guidance in place. So all the Claude Code and OpenAI Codex skills that I'm going to go over today, some of them are going to be largely for my own personal workflow as a very technical developer, but then I'm also going to talk about some brand new skills that I've been adding into my code base to allow my less technically savvy intern as well as my less technically savvy co-founder to still contribute meaningfully into the code without always relying on me to make all of these architectural decisions for them. So we'll give you a little bit of glimpse of that as well. So that's kind of where a lot of the two skills are being bucketed. Skills that I personally use as a technical developer, and then skills that I built to let my less technical team members still contribute meaningfully to the code base. All right, so let's get into it. So we're gonna go over into my terminal, go over into my Yorby repository, and I'm gonna open up NeoVim. And then before we even get into the actual skills, let me just show you how they're all set up. So historically, I've been a really big Claude Code user, but then lately, OpenAI Codex has been really, really good. And I'm always switching between the two a lot. And sometimes I'll even bust out a Gemini CLI. I know, kind of rogue, but I do that every now and then. So the way that I've been working around this is that I actually define all of my skills in the .agents directory. Something that kind of annoys me about Claude is, once again, don't quote me on this, I could be getting this factually incorrect, but I do think Claude was the one that came out with this open.agents directory structure and open agent skills and stuff like that to write all your skills. But then if you open up Claude Code, Claude actually doesn't pick up the skills that are defined in your .agents directory. They only pick up the skills that are defined in your .claude/agents directory. Your .claude/skills directory. Once again, don't quote me on that, but if that is true, that's kind of weird. Like, you come out with this open standard, but you're not adhering to it. All right, instead of just spewing out incorrect information, I literally looked this up on Google. Who came out with the .agents/skills open standard? And I said Anthropic officially introduced and open sourced the .agents/skills open standard, but Claude Code doesn't read from there. Claude Code only reads from their non-open source proprietary .claude/skills directory. So I didn't really understand why that's the case, but that's a little tangent. Regardless, I define all of my skills directly in the .agents directory, in the .skills directory as well. And these are where all my skills are laid out. And then Codex and Gemini are able to pick up those skills immediately because they do adhere to that open standard. But for Claude, I have to do a little bit of workaround by creating a skills directory in the .claude directory. And then the skills directory is essentially just a symlink to that aforementioned .agents/skills directory. So that's how I'm able to write all of my agentic coding skills into one singular source of truth in the .agents/skills directory. But then I'm also always able to make sure that Codex and Claude Code are always able to pick up on any skills that I write. So let's go into the actual skills that I write. So first of all, I'm going to go over my personal coding process, the skills that I personally use on a regular basis. And then later on in this video, I'll go over some of the skills that I created to help my less technical coworkers contribute meaningfully to the code base and not be blocked by me. So the very first skill that I always use is grill me and then phase plan. So grill me, I'm sure that you've probably heard about it from our good old friend Matt Pocock. I don't know, sorry if I'm totally butchering the name. I got it from this repository right here. And for those of you that don't know, chances are if you're watching my channel, you probably do know this guy, Matt Pocock, don't really know. He started off as like a really big TypeScript technical developer, super great with educating people on TypeScript. Now he's been diving really hard into AI code development. And it was actually largely inspired from this video right here, the grill me skill. And he published this into an open GitHub repository. And that is, it seems to be gone right here. I don't know what happened to it. Let me see. Right here. So this is where the skill exists, in the grill me skill right here. So I did not make this on my own. I copied from Matt's directory just this skill definition. And this is essentially a very lightweight skill. But what it does is it just grills you on whatever you're trying to build, all the technical requirements, all the product requirements, any unresolved questions that the LLM may have before going off and building out whatever feature you're requesting it to build. So I pretty much always use the grill me skill. I'm not gonna lie, every now and then it gets a little bit too intense with the grilling and I'm just like, dude, you're getting too deep in the weeds, just go build, just please. But it is still a good skill to use and I use it all the time. And I use that in conjunction with a phased plan skill. So essentially what this phased plan does is it's pretty similar to the existing plan modes that exist in OpenAI Codex as well as Claude Code, like this whole plan mode thing right here. But really it just forces the output of the plan to be broken down into individual phases. changes. And I do this for multiple reasons. Number one is I hate doing code reviews of gigantic PRs. If one of my coworkers or myself has to review like 2,000 lines of code written by AI, I want to blow my brains out and I absolutely hate it. And I know that I also can't provide a really thorough and in-depth review when that many lines of code is written. I'm very honest with myself about that. So phase plan intentionally just chunks each group of code changes into like similar groupings of features. And within my phase plan implementation, I also make sure that each plan, if to the best of its ability, is a user testable feature. Like it's not just all backend, it's not just all front end, but it's something that creates an actual testable feature on the client, whether that be just client side or it requires some backend implementation as well for the user to actually go out and test very small sandbox amounts of features. I find it easier when code is structured that way for me to review it and just to know holistically, like, all right, what's going on here? What feature am I trying to test? Okay, what am I doing on the UI? Okay, that's cool. I know what the UI is doing. Now let's go look at the actual implementation on the backend side of things as well. So that's what I use the phased plan for. So then the way a typical AI coding session work goes for me is I'll say like, blah, 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 build feature, blah, 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 blah. And then I'll say grill me for any open questions you have. And then when you're ready, make a phased plan and show me. So I pretty much always use grill me in conjunction with the phased plan skill whenever I'm trying to build out a longer term feature that I know is going to take multiple milestones to hit. If I'm doing just like a really small bug fix, I'll probably omit both of these, or at most I'll just use like the grill me and I'll skip the phased plan. But yeah, if I'm ever trying to create a very thorough big feature, like right now, one of the big features we're working on Yorby that I'm definitely using both the grill me and the phased plan skill all the time is to create our AI UGC studio to create AI UGC content to market our tool and our clients' tools as well, since we're making an AI social media market. Like this account right here, autumnluna.creates, this is one of our most successful marketing accounts that markets our tool Yorby, the AI social media marketer, and it's literally all AI generated. This is something that we have been doing internally, and then we're taking and now that we've kind of refined and mastered our own internal process of how we like to make this AI UGC content to market our tool, we're productizing it and building out a whole feature dedicated to building that kind of content within Yorby right here. Not launched yet, but if you're interested, then sign up for the platform, subscribe to the channel, so then we'll alert you whenever this launches. But obviously this is a gigantic feature, and I've been using the grill me and the phased plan skills in conjunction all the time. The past year has been a huge time of transition for us, from raising a little bit of capital to fund my startup to also going all in and making YouTube and social media my main source of income. And through this transition, surprisingly, one of the hardest parts about this has been figuring out how to stay on top of my finances. Previously when I was working at that big tech company, I would get my bi-weekly paycheck coming in all the time. But now that I'm running my own business, some months I'll make a lot of money and some months I'll make virtually no money. And that's just the name of the game. It's been pretty hard to figure out how exactly to manage all this cash flow, manage all the money. But luckily companies like Xero, the sponsor of today's video, makes that a lot easier. Xero is accounting software built for small businesses. And what I like the most about it is the fact that it combines everything, my invoicing, my bills, my bank feeds and payments, all into one easy place to organize everything so I can get a holistic view of the entire financial situation of my business. So instead of having to open up my bank account to manually check what's my money, what can I spend, what can I not, within Xero, I can see the money that's coming in, the money that's going out, and the money that's left for me. The two things that help me out the most with Xero is I send all of my invoice payments for brand deals for social media all through Xero. It has support for multiple payment options, automatic reminders for before and after the due date, which can help you get paid up to 2 times faster. I always hated having to awkwardly chase after a late invoice, but now Xero handles that all for me. Secondly, Xero Analytics gives me a much clearer picture of my financial situation. So instead of guessing whether the next month is going to be tight on finances or not, I can see it coming very clearly. For someone whose income swings a lot month to month, that is the difference between making decisions out of anxiety and making decisions out of clarity. To get started with managing your finances and cash flow with Xero, then you can click on the link in the description below to get up to 90% off of your first 6 months. Thanks again to Xero for sponsoring today's video. So then the next skill that I use a lot of is also this phased implementation plan. And phased implementation is really simple compared to phased plan and grill me. Phased implementation is just that whenever a plan is provided, like plan that is produced from the phased plan, phased implementation makes it so that it will only work on one phase at a time and it will never move on to the next phase until I manually review and I manually approve that individual phase of work. Then only once I manually approve and tell the LLM this looks good to go, commit the changes or stage the changes, and then it will then go on and move on to the next phase. This is just a really small small lightweight skill just to make my life a little bit simpler. And the reason why I created this skill is because when I first created the phased plan and I would just tell the AI to go ahead and implement it, it would implement all the phases, like phase 1 through 8 without me knowing. And I come back to review the code and I'm like, oh my God, it just wrote like 5,000 lines of code. I can't review this. So by invoking this phased implementation, it's just a nice quality of life thing for me, forcing the LLM to only implement one phase at a time and never do more than that. And last but not least, another critical skill in my pipeline, in my whole workflow, is this Babysit PR skill. And the way that I used it is specifically within, let me show you within Claude Code. Actually, it's a better use case. It's more explicitly defined there than Codex. I use it with this loop command, which within Claude Code, it basically just triggers a local cron job. So I'll do like loop 1 minute babysit PR. So basically every single minute it executes this babysit PR command. And all this babysit PR command does is it monitors a pull request for its mergeability status. And if any code review comes in or any errors come in, like deployment errors, testing errors, any type of CI/CD errors that comes in, it'll automatically address them and try to fix them immediately. And then once everything is all green and good to go, it will merge automatically. Well, actually, I lied a little bit right there. I currently have it set up to not merge automatically. It will just alert me instead saying, hey, it's ready to go. You can merge it manually if you want. Depending on my mood, sometimes I'll just say like merge automatically when green, if I don't even want to review it and I just want it to auto merge. Every single time I make any type of code change, this little command is getting run all the time to merge whatever code change that I am working on right then and there. So those are a lot of the skills that I've been using in my day-to-day like engineering flow to help from like a high level engineering strategy, engineering design perspective. But lately, I've also been adding some more skills to actually help with some of the more nitty-gritty implementations. And what do I mean by that? So for example, I have this Yorby logging skill. This is a brand new skill that I just made. And the reason why I built this skill is because I use PostHog's logging feature a lot. They actually have this guide right here for logging best practices. And look, I've admitted this before on my channel, but I am by no means the most technical engineer. I'm not the most opinionated. I'm very much so just like a product engineer. I don't really care too much about how it's built. I just want it to be built really well and built really quickly. So I am not super opinionated about what the best logging practices are. So instead, I see that PostHog, a company who has a lot of resources that I trust very deeply for good engineering practices, I essentially just copied this entire guide from PostHog about how to do best practices for logging. And then I dumped it into a skill and I created it with Yorby logging. That's the skill that it uses. So whenever my app actually has to add any logs, it'll then just reference the Yorby logging skill to implement it for me. And that's not all too different from what these like Supabase Postgres best practices skill does as well. I believe Supabase launched this whole skill set for, people that might not be the most familiar or the like best industry experts on Postgres and how to use it. They created this whole list of skills right here to help you to implement whatever the best practices are for Postgres. So as you can see, previously, the first grouping of skills that I talked about was skills that assisted my overall engineering process. But now I also have recently been adding these latest subset of skills, basically transport and use the industry best practices and experts' skills and knowledge to implement the various technical aspects of my app as well, to fill that gap between what I know and what these providers recommend as the best practices. So that's been a really great way to use skills as well for the more technical, opinionated pieces of my implementation as well. So those are most of the skills that I use on a personal day-to-day basis. But then next up, let's go over some of the skills that I created to help my less technical coworkers contribute meaningfully to the code base without having me as a blocker. So honestly, the main skill is going to be this VibeCode skill. And I'll get to there soon. But before getting into that VibeCode skill, I also have this Eng onboarding skill. And if you've worked in any type of big company, you're probably familiar with onboarding at a new company. They have an entire document like a Notion page, a Confluence page, whatever document provider that they have of how to onboard onto your app and set everything up. Like for a long time, I had that hosted within Notion right here in the Eng onboarding guide. But then I realized, wait a minute, what am I doing defining this Eng onboarding guide directly within Notion? Let's just define it directly in a Claude Code skill, which is exactly what I did. So this is just my entire onboarding guide for how to set up and run all the different apps and services that Yorby uses for local development. And then whenever a newcomer comes in and wants to set everything up, Claude is able to reference this skill immediately and get all the context and all the knowledge necessary to set up the entire local development pipeline. So then if we go on over to the actual VibeCode skill, this VibeCode skill is pretty much a parent level skill that I created that calls all of these other things down below. It will call the grill me, the Eng onboarding phase implementation, phase, plan, skills, all within one skill. So this is probably one of the most opinionated skills that I've created up to date. Obviously, I don't know how helpful it'll be. I'm not going to read this entire skill, but essentially this is the skill that I ask all of my less technical co-workers use to build out any type of features that they're trying to do. VibeCode, it sets up basic processes saying, hey, if you're having any type of difficulty setting up and running a local environment, reference the Eng onboarding guide. If you're trying to build out a brand new feature that's really technical, use the grill me feature in conjunction with the phased plan guide. And then once the plan is all done, go forward with the phased implementation guide. Then I have these rules as well saying never write to production. You are only allowed to read to production, and you must always read production data using the Yorby Superbase prod MCP, which is only read only, no write access granted there. And then you can see right here, rule number 3 is to always never combine multiple phases into one implementation pass or PR. Always make sure just to do one phase of implementation at a time. And honestly, with a lot of the vibe coding that's being done to build out features, anything that's just like client work that's being done is usually pretty straightforward, and I have no problems with them just playing around and going kind of crazy and doing tricks on it and stuff like that. But the part that I do always want to be involved in is whenever there's any database changes that are being done, like when we're creating a new database migration to alter a table or introduce a new table, add new columns and all of that. And with that in mind, I actually have a specific section listed out right here such that for any like overly technical questions about database design, like anything remotely architectural as I define in the rule right here, to defer the question answering to me, the CTO, so that they don't have to answer it themselves. And the way that that works is that they write out the entire plan, but they leave open questions that are a lot more technical and architectural, and they don't answer them. Then they write this plan into some directory. We actually have this directory right here called the plans directory. It has all these plans that are written up using the phased plan skill. And then this gets committed into a PR. And then once this initial plan is committed into the PR, then my coworkers will then tag me saying, hey, check out this PR. There's some open questions in this new plan that I generated, that I created. So then I go in, open whatever plan that they just created, and then I reference whatever open questions, open architectural, more technical questions that are there. And then I then invoke the grill me skill again to answer and clear up any technical requirements that weren't answered in the original creation of this plan when the VibeCode skill was used. And so far, I've really been enjoying this setup that we've had going on, because really, once you get a really detailed spec, AI is usually pretty good at implementing things these days. So my coworkers, they'll kind of go in, make that initial plan all the way up to the point where the only leftover questions or ambiguities that are left over are the technical implementations. I jump in, answer all the technical stuff, hand it over back to them, and then they're able to go on with the phased implementation and for the most part build out the entire feature end to end, obviously with me reviewing the code during a PR review, but with relatively little involvement from me, just with how powerful AI is at writing code and writing really good high quality code as well. It's been great for me because now I feel like we're shipping a lot faster, where I'm still very much so involved. I know all the code that's being written, but I also don't have to handle the back and forth, iterating, tweaking the UI and stuff like that, especially if it's a part of the feature or a part of the app that I'm less strongly opinionated about, but my coworkers are, because maybe they are more strongly opinionated about what the text and the copy should look like, what the UI should look like. So it's been much faster turnaround for them to feel empowered to actually go out and build and make those changes themselves, knowing that they're fully unblocked by me. It is a crazy time to be a developer, builder, product person. It is just like everyone is writing code, everyone's pushing, and it's pretty awesome. I really, really love it. But that is everything that I got for today. Those are all of the skills that I use in my OpenAI Codex as well as Claude Code setup. Let me know what you thought of the video. Is there any one that stood out to you? Are there any skills that you're personally using that you feel like have really contributed to your developer velocity? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm always trying to see what the latest meta, what the latest things people are doing out there these days. But that is all I got for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.